Hello, and welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be here.
It is absolutely fantastic to have you here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Whether you're, stuck in traffic on your morning commute, or maybe you're out pounding the pavement for a run.
Or just having a coffee.
Right, or just carving out a quiet hour to settle in with that cup of coffee. We're just thrilled you chose to spend this time with us.
I really are.
And hey, before we really get rolling, I have a small favor to ask.
Well, here it comes.
Just a small one. We pour a lot of love into these conversations. And if you enjoy these deep dives, if they help you make sense of the world or just give you something solid to hold on to, please share this with a friend.
Yes, please do. Send them a link. Shoot them a text.
It really helps us grow the community. And of course, make sure you are subscribed to the feed so you never miss a conversation.
We appreciate every single one of you who listens and engages with the material we unpack. It means a lot.
Absolutely. Now, today we are tackling a massive topic.
Massive is an understatement.
It really is. It is arguably the most significant concept in the history of faith.
For sure.
It's a word you have probably heard 1,000 times. You've sung it in hymns, seen it on greeting cards. Maybe you even know someone named after it.
Right, it's everywhere.
But do we actually know what it means? Today, we are asking the big question. What is the spiritual meaning of grace in the Bible?
It's a huge question. And honestly, it is the heartbeat of the entire Christian faith.
Yeah.
If you miss this, you miss the whole point.
Exactly. And I want to set the stage here a little bit because we had a really special approach for this deep dive today.
We do.
We looked at our source material, which includes this fantastic breakdown called Understanding Biblical Grace for New Believers, and we realized this content is perfect for two very specific groups of people.
Right. On one hand, we have listeners who might be brand new to the faith.
The newcomers.
Yeah, maybe you have never opened a Bible, or you just started attending a church and the language feels a bit, foreign.
It could be super intimidating.
Oh, absolutely. You hear words like justification or redemption, and you're just trying to catch up.
And on the other hand, we have the veterans, the people who've been walking this path for 20 or 30 years.
And the danger there isn't confusion. It's familiarity.
You've heard it so many times it stops surprising you.
Exactly. And the beauty of this topic is that for the new believer, it's the introduction to everything. It is the front door.
Right.
But for the mature believer, it is the fuel that keeps you going.
So, here is our mission statement for today. We are going to explore biblical grace in great detail.
In great detail.
We are not going to rush. We're going to take our time and really chew on this.
I love that. No rushing today, just a gentle pace.
We have structured this discussion into two parts. The first half is going to be dedicated to the newbie believers.
Yes, the Bible newcomers.
We are going to use simple, clear language, lots of illustrations, and really lay the foundation.
Yeah. Then, in the second half, we are going to shift gears and focus on the more mature Bible believers. We'll look at the theology, the linguistics, and the heavy lifting behind the word.
So, whether you are a rookie or a pro, stick around. There is something here for everyone.
Definitely.
So let's reiterate that title one more time just to lock it in. I think we're still in the first 60 seconds here. We are asking, what is the spiritual meaning of grace in the Bible? Let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Okay, part one, the foundation. This is for the person who hears the word grace and thinks, well, that's a nice name for a girl,
Right.
or that's what we say before we eat turkey.
Right.
If we had to give an elevator pitch, like a 30-second definition for someone who has literally never read a page of Scripture, what is grace?
If you could summarize the entire Bible in one word, it would be grace.
Wow, one word.
Yeah. The simplest, most foundational definition is this. Grace is God giving us something good that we do not deserve.
Something good that we do not deserve. Short and sweet.
Exactly. And to really feel the weight of that, you have to look at the world we live in. We live in a heavily transactional world.
Everything is a transaction.
Precisely. Think about your daily life.
Yeah.
You work 40 hours, you get a paycheck, you earn that.
Yeah, cause and effect.
You break a speed limit, you get a ticket, you earn that penalty, you do a favor for a neighbor, they say, I owe you one.
It is the whole you get what you pay for mentality. It's ingrained in us from childhood.
Completely.
If you do good, you get a gold star. If you do bad, you get a timeout.
If you work hard, you succeed. If you slack off, you fail. That is the operating system of our society.
Right.
But the source material makes this incredible point. God operates on a completely different operating system. He operates by grace.
So it is counterintuitive. It goes against our natural wiring.
It is counter everything. The opposite of grace is works.
Works. Let's define that.
Work says, I will earn God's love by being good enough. I will climb the ladder of morality.
I'll prove my worth.
Exactly.
Okay.
But grace says, God loved me freely, and no matter how hard I work, I will never be good enough to earn it, but he gives it anyway.
That is hard for us to wrap our heads around because we always want to pay our own way.
Yeah.
We really do not like feeling indebted or like a charity case.
We hate it. Our pride absolutely hates it.
The source material has this great illustration about a birthday gift. I think we've all been in a situation somewhat like this.
Oh, this is a perfect example.
Imagine it's your birthday, and I hand you a gift. It's beautifully wrapped. You open it up, and it is exactly what you wanted. Maybe it's that new tech gadget or a watch. It's perfect.
Best feeling in the world. You feel seen and known.
Right. But then, imagine if you looked at me, reached into your back pocket, and pulled out your wallet. You start counting out cash and say, wow, this is great. How much do I owe you for this?
That would be so awkward. The room would just go silent.
It would be insulting. I would be like, put your money away. It's a gift. I didn't give it to you to sell it to you.
Exactly. If you pay for it, it ceases to be a gift. It becomes a purchase. It becomes a transaction.
Yeah.
The source material uses this to explain Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 and 9. Salvation is a gift.
A pure gift.
If you try to pay for it with your good behavior, or your promises to be better, or your charity work, you are essentially pulling out your wallet and insulting the giver.
You're missing the point of the gesture entirely. You're trying to turn a relationship into a business deal.
You are. The definition of a gift is that it cannot be earned. It is freely given out of love. You do not clean yourself up to get the gift. You just receive it.
I love that image of just having empty hands. You just hold out empty hands.
Empty hands, exactly.
But let's raise the stakes a little bit, because a birthday gift is nice, but the Bible talks about grace as a rescue. It's a matter of life and death.
Right. It's not just a nicety, it is an absolute necessity. The source material tells the story of the unpayable debt to help us visualize this.
Lay it out for us.
Imagine a young man. He's ambitious, but he makes terrible choices, just one after another. He gambles, he spends money he doesn't have, he burns bridges, and he ends up with a debt of, let's say, $1 million.
$1 million. So this isn't just, oops, I forgot my credit card payment. This is ruin.
Total ruin.
This is something you cannot pay off by working an extra shift at the coffee shop.
No.
Yeah.
He is destitute. His credit is ruined. He has no assets. He is facing prison or worse. He is hopeless. The debt is crushing him.
Yeah.
Then a wealthy friend walks in. This friend doesn't lecture him. He doesn't say, well, I hope you learned your lesson about fiscal responsibility.
Which is what we would probably say.
Right. Instead, he pulls out a checkbook, writes a check for the full $1 million, hands it to the creditor, and says to the young man, it is taken care of. You are free.
Wow. Just like that.
Just like that. That is the picture of saving grace. The young man didn't deserve it. His behavior actually caused the problem.
He brought it on himself.
He did. But the friend paid the cost. The spiritual meaning here is that our sin, our mistakes, our rebellion against God created a debt we could not pay. We owe perfect life, and we are far from perfect.
To put it mildly, we are bankrupt in that regard.
Right. But Jesus paid that debt in full. He said, it is finished. The young man walks out free, not because he was good, but because his friend was gracious.
That leads us perfectly into what is probably the most famous story Jesus ever told.
Yeah.
The prodigal son in Luke 15.
The ultimate grace story. If you want to understand the heart of God, you just look at this story.
So for the new believer listening, let's retell this. You have a younger son who basically goes to his dad and says, I wish you were dead. Give me my inheritance now.
Which is incredibly offensive in that culture. It is the ultimate rejection. He is saying, I value your money more than your life.
He takes the money, leaves town, goes to a far country, and wastes it all on wild living. Parties, bad investments, questionable decisions, and then the money runs out.
Always does.
A famine hits, and he ends up feeding pigs.
And for a Jewish boy, feeding pigs is rock bottom. You cannot get lower than that.
Unclean animals.
Yes, pigs were considered unclean. He has lost his religion, his family, his money, and his dignity.
He's so hungry he wants to eat the pig slop. And he finally has this moment of clarity. He says, I'll go home. I'll tell my dad I messed up. I'll ask to be a servant.
He even prepares a speech.
Right.
He says, I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired hands. He's trying to negotiate a way back in.
He's thinking, If I work hard enough, maybe Dad will let me stay in the barn.
Exactly. He is still stuck in the works mindset. He thinks he has to earn his way back onto the property.
But here's the climax of the story, and this is where grace just explodes off the page. He is walking home, probably smelling terrible, looking like an absolute wreck, and the father sees him from a long way off.
And this is the key detail. The father doesn't wait on the porch. He doesn't cross his arms and tap his foot waiting for an apology.
He doesn't demand the speech.
No. The text says he ran. In the ancient Near East, dignified older men did not run. It was considered shameful to hike up your robes and sprint.
Because it exposed their legs, right?
Yes, it was humiliating. But this father didn't care about his dignity. He cared about his son.
He throws his arms around him. He kisses him. The son tries to give his "I'm a servant" speech, and the dad basically ignores it.
Completely ignores.
He yells, "Get the best robe, get the ring, kill the fattened calf. We're throwing a party."
That is grace. The son deserved a lecture. He deserved to be a servant. He deserved a massive, "I told you so."
Yeah, he deserved to be put on probation.
Instead, he got a party. He got full restoration. He didn't just get allowed back on the property. He was restored to the status of a son.
And the takeaway for the listener is that this is how God sees you.
Yes. If you are sitting there thinking, I've gone too far, I've messed up too much, you have to remember the Father running. God runs to us while we are still a long way off.
He doesn't wait for us to get clean.
No, he runs right into the mess.
That is such a comforting image. But I want to pivot here, because the source material brings up a really common struggle for new believers. It is this idea of, okay, I get it. I'm saved by grace. God forgave me for free. But now the real work begins.
Oh, yes. The great bait and switch.
Right. It's like I got in the door for free, but now I have to pay rent. We feel like we have to work really hard to keep God happy.
This is a huge trap. We switch from grace to works without even realizing it. We think grace is just for the past, just for forgiveness, but the source material is very clear. Grace is not just for saving. It is power for living.
Grace is power for living. Unpack that for us.
The verse here is 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9. Paul is struggling, and God tells him, "My grace is sufficient for you." Grace isn't just a pardon. It is a power source. It is the fuel for the Christian life.
We have some great analogies for this in the text. Let's talk about the electrical outlet.
This is a great one for visualization. Imagine you have a beautiful, expensive lamp. It's got a great design, a perfect shade. But if it isn't plugged in, what is it?
It's a statue. It's just decoration. It doesn't produce light.
Exactly. It has no power. Now, imagine you are the lamp. The light you are supposed to produce is love, joy, peace, patience, the fruits of the Spirit.
Okay.
New believers often try to squeeze that light out of themselves. They grit their teeth and try really hard to be patient. They try to manufacture the light.
And it is exhausting. You burn out so quickly.
It is impossible. The lamp doesn't make the electricity. The lamp just connects to the wall. The power plant makes the electricity.
That makes sense.
In the same way, we don't manufacture the Christian life. We stay connected to the source, which is Jesus. When we are plugged in through prayer, through dependence, his power flows through us.
So our job isn't to make the light. Our job is to stay plugged in.
Precisely. Just stay plugged in.
I like that. Here is another one that I think every kid and adult honestly can relate to. The bicycle and the motor.
Picture two boys with bikes at the bottom of a massive steep hill. The hill represents the struggles of life or the commands of God stuff that is genuinely hard to do.
Okay, I can picture that.
Boy number one starts pedaling. He is using his own strength. He is gritting his teeth. His legs are burning. His lungs are screaming. He makes it halfway up and just collapses. He can't do it.
That is me trying to be a good person on my own caffeine and willpower.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now look at boy number two. Same bike, same hill, but his bike has a hidden electric motor. He starts up the hill and he engages the motor. Now, if he's still pedaling,
Yes.
yes, he's participating, he's steering, but the motor is doing the heavy lifting. He just glides up the hill.
That is the difference between living by works and living by grace.
Yes, the motor is grace. We still pedal, we participate, we make choices, we steer our lives, but the power that gets us up the hill comes from God, not our own quadriceps. We rely on his strength, not ours.
That takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
It really does. It stops being about my performance and starts being about his power.
It changes everything from a burden to an absolute joy.
Let's do one more of these power illustrations because I think this next one is really visceral. The deep sea diver.
This one is my favorite because it deals with pressure. The world applies immense pressure on us. Temptation, stress, anxiety. The pressure to conform,
Gets heavy.
it is like being on the bottom of the ocean. The weight of the water would crush you instantly.
Squish, like a soda can.
Right. So, how does a deep-sea diver survive? He has a suit, but more importantly, he has an air hose connected to a ship on the surface. That hose pumps fresh oxygen down to him constantly.
He doesn't bring a tank that runs out.
No, it is a continuous flow. That is grace. We are in a high-pressure world. If you try to hold your breath, if you try to survive on your own spiritual reserves, you will drown. You will run out of air.
You just can't hold your breath forever.
Grace is the air hose. We breathe in God's power moment by moment. We are connected to the surface.
And if that hose gets cut, we're done.
We are done. We are dependent on that flow every single second.
Yeah. Okay, one last image for this section, because I think it speaks to the parenting heart of God. The father carrying the child.
Imagine a muddy field. A little kid is trying to follow his dad. Walk in my footsteps, the dad says, and the kid tries. But his legs are short, the mud is deep, and he keeps falling, face down in the mud, over and over again.
Poor kid.
Eventually, he is just exhausted, he's crying, he's dirty. What does the dad do? Does he say, well, I gave you instructions, catch up when you can?
No way. Not a good dad.
He picks the child up, he carries him. The child still gets to the destination, but not by his own walking. He gets there by his father's carrying.
That is grace and weakness.
It is. God doesn't just watch us struggle. When we are weak, he carries us.
So for the new believer listening right now, what is the application here? How do they apply this when they wake up tomorrow?
It changes how you pray. When you are tempted or tired or angry, don't just clench your fist and try to be better. Stop. Pray a very honest prayer. Lord, I can't do this. I am weak. I am the lamp with no power. Please be my strength. I am engaging the motor.
Admitting weakness is the key to unlocking the power.
It is the only way.
And to wrap up this section for our new friends, let's leave them with a lifeguard illustration. I think this sums up the whole earning it problem perfectly.
It really does. Imagine you are drowning. I mean, really drowning. Going under for the third time. A lifeguard jumps in, fights the waves, grabs you, drags you to shore, and pumps the water out of your lungs. He saves your life.
You are lying on the sand, gasping for air.
And then you look up at him and say, thanks, that was great. How much do I owe you for the swimming lessons?
It is ridiculous.
It is absurd. You didn't need lessons. You needed a rescue. You were dead. Grace isn't a swimming lesson to help you be a little better. It is a rescue operation. You don't owe God payment for saving you. You owe him your life in gratitude.
We didn't need improvement. We needed resurrection.
Amen to that.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit more. We have laid the foundation. We have talked about gifts, rescues, motors, and lifeguards. Now we are going to shift gears.
Time to go deeper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to speak to the mature Bible believers in the audience. If you have been in church for decades, lean in. We are going deeper into the theology and the linguistics of grace.
This is where it gets really rich. Because grace isn't just a fluffy concept. It has deep, deep roots in the ancient text.
Let's start with the language. The Bible wasn't written in English. It was written in Hebrew and Greek. What happens when we peel back the translation?
We find three key words that give us a three-dimensional picture of grace. In the Old Testament Hebrew, the first word is chen.
Chen.
It means favor, but specifically favor shown by a superior to an inferior, like a king looking at a peasant and smiling. It implies acceptance.
Okay.
When the Bible says Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord, that is chen. The king looked at Noah and said, I accept you.
So that is the vertical aspect. Superior to inferior. What is the next one?
The second Hebrew word is hesed. You might have heard this one. It's often translated as loving kindness or steadfast love.
I love that word, hesed. It sounds sturdy.
It is a sticky word. It means covenant loyalty. It means, I have made a promise to you, and I will stick by you no matter what. It is the stubborn love of God. It connects God's love to his faithfulness to his own promises.
And then we get to the Greek in the New Testament.
Right. The word is charis. This is where we get charismatic or charity. Charis means unmerited favor. It is a gift given absolutely freely without any expectation of return.
No strings attached.
Exactly. In the ancient world, gifts usually came with strings attached. Charis cuts the strings.
So when you put them all together,
You get a God who looks down with favor chin sticks by us with loyal love hesed and gives us gifts we don't deserve, charis.
that is beautiful.
And here is the key insight for the mature believer. Grace isn't just a substance God sprays on us. Grace is personified.
It is a person.
Yes. Jesus is described as being full of grace and truth. Grace is Jesus. To have grace is to have him.
That changes it from a commodity to a relationship. Now, I want to clarify something that often trips people up. We hear three words thrown around a lot: justice, mercy, and grace. They sound similar, but they are very different.
This is the theological triad. You have to get this right. Let's distinguish them. First, justice. Justice is getting the bad you deserve.
Okay, I speed, I get a ticket. That is justice.
Right. You broke the law, you pay the penalty. That is fair. Next is mercy. Mercy is not getting the bad you deserve.
So I speed, the cop pulls me over, but he lets me go with a warning.
Exactly. The penalty was withheld. You deserved the ticket, but you didn't get it. That is mercy. But grace? Grace is getting the good that you don't deserve.
So complete the analogy for us.
You speed, the cop pulls you over, he takes your ticket, rips it up. That is mercy. Then he hands you the keys to his own personal Ferrari and invites you to a steak dinner.
That is insane.
That is grace. It is scandalous generosity. It goes beyond just canceling the debt. It provides a blessing you have absolutely no right to claim.
The source material uses the cookie jar illustration, which is great for parents.
Yes. Justice. The child steals a cookie and gets a spanking. Mercy. The parent withholds the spanking. Grace. The parent invites the child to the table for cookies and milk.
It is the upgrade. It is the +1.
It is the abundance of God's heart.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. We need to distinguish between two types of grace that theologians talk about: common grace and saving grace. Because I look around the world and I see people who want nothing to do with God, yet they have happy lives. They have money, they have food, they see beautiful sunsets. Why is that?
That is the doctrine of common grace. It is universal. Jesus said God makes the sun rise on the evil and the good and sends rain on the just and on the unjust.
So the rain is grace.
Absolutely. The fact that the earth produces food, grace. The fact that society hasn't completely imploded into chaos, grace. Common grace restrains sin in society. It allows for civil government, art, culture, and science to exist even in a fallen world.
It is God's general kindness to keep the world spinning.
Right. But, and this is crucial, common grace is temporary. It is for this life, and it does not save you.
That brings us to saving grace.
Saving grace is specific. It is for believers. It regenerates the heart. It justifies the sinner. It is eternal. Common grace gets you a nice sunset. Saving grace gets you the creator of the sunset.
Let's talk about how we get that saving grace. The source material uses a courtroom metaphor. We talked about the dead earlier, but let's talk about the legal side, the great exchange.
This is the heart of the gospel. Justification. Imagine the Supreme Court of Heaven. God is the judge. We are the defendants. The evidence is presented and we are guilty. There is no doubt.
We did the crime.
We did. Justice demands a verdict. Guilty. Penalty. Death. But then the judge steps down from the bench. He takes off his robe. He stands in the place of the defendant.
Jesus.
Jesus takes the penalty. He goes to the cross. He pays the fine of death. But he doesn't stop there. He takes his own record, his perfect, sinless life, and he hands it to us.
That is the exchange.
Yeah.
My guilt for his righteousness.
Yes. So when the judge looks at us now, he doesn't see our record. He sees Christ's record. We are declared not guilty. Actually, more than that, we are declared righteous.
There is a great acronym for this: GRACE.
God's riches at Christ's expense.
I love that. It reminds us that grace is free to us, but it was incredibly costly to God.
It cost him everything. It cost the life of his son.
There is a story in the notes about Maria and Christina that illustrates the cost and the invitation of grace beautifully.
This is a heart-wrenching story. Maria lives in a small village in Brazil. Her daughter, Christina, is headstrong. She wants to see the world. She runs away to the big city, but she falls into a bad life.
It goes wrong.
It goes very wrong. She ends up in the red light district, selling herself to survive. She is ashamed. She thinks she can never go home.
The shame is the barrier. She thinks she is too dirty.
Right. But Maria, the mother, doesn't give up. She packs her bags, she takes the little money she has, and she goes to the city. She finds a photo booth and takes dozens of black and white photos of herself.
Just her face.
Just her smiling face. And she goes to the bars, the hotels, the clubs in the red light district, and she tapes her photo to the mirrors. On the back of each photo, she writes a message.
What did it say?
It said, "Whatever you have done, whatever you have become, it doesn't matter. Please come home."
Wow. That is powerful.
Weeks later, Christina walks into a hotel bathroom. She sees the photo. She recognizes her mom. She turns it over. She reads the grace. And she goes home.
That is what God does. He posts his invitation in the darkest places of our lives. Come home.
It is not about what you have done. It is about who he is.
Now, I want to challenge something. A lot of people think the Old Testament is all about law, wrath, and anger, and the New Testament is where grace shows up, like God changed his mood.
That is a very common misconception, but it is completely false. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Grace is everywhere in the Old Testament.
I've got some receipts.
Look at Noah. The world was wicked. Everyone was rebelling. Why was Noah saved? Was he perfect? No. The Bible says Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. It started with grace.
What about Rahab?
Rahab, she was a Canaanite. She was a prostitute. She was the ultimate outsider. By the law, she should have been destroyed with Jericho, but by grace, she was saved, and she was even brought into the lineage of Christ.
That is huge. And David.
David is the prime example. Here is a man who committed adultery and then murdered the woman's husband to cover it up. Under the law, David deserved death. No question.
He broke multiple commandments.
He did, but he cries out in Psalm 51, "Have mercy on me, O God," and God restores him. That is Old Testament grace.
Even the furniture in the tabernacle tells this story.
It does. Think about the Ark of the Covenant. Inside the box were the 10 Commandments. The law we broke, but what sat on top of the box?
The mercy seat.
The mercy seat. The blood of the sacrifice was sprinkled on the mercy seat. Physically, the symbol of grace sat above the symbol of the law. God looked at the law through the lens of the blood. Grace has always been the plan.
So Jesus didn't invent grace. He embodied it.
Exactly. He is the incarnation of it.
And when Jesus taught, he told stories that really messed with people's sense of fairness. We talked about the prodigal son, but what about the workers in the vineyard? That one always ruffles feathers.
Oh, people hate this parable because it feels so unfair. A landowner hires guys at 6 a.m. They work all day in the scorching sun. Then he hires guys at 5 p.m. They work 1 hour.
1 hour. In the cool of the evening.
And when pay time comes, the master pays them all the exact same wage. The guys who worked all day are furious. We worked 12 hours, they worked 1. That is not fair.
And the master says,
Am I not allowed to do what I choose with what belongs to me? Or do you begrudge my generosity?
boom.
See, grace prioritizes need over merit. The guys who came at 5 p.m. needed a wage to feed their families just as much as the guys who came at 6 a.m. God gives us what we need, not what we earn. If we got what was fair, we would all be in trouble.
We want fair for others, but we want mercy for ourselves. Let's connect this to the sustaining grace we touched on earlier. For the mature believer, you might be dealing with chronic pain or a difficult marriage or a struggle that just won't go away. You have prayed for it to leave, and it hasn't.
This is Paul's thorn in the flesh. We don't know what it was, but it tormented him. He begged God 3 times to remove it, and God said no.
He said no. That is hard to hear.
But he added, "My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness."
So the thorn stayed, but the grace increased.
Yes. And the expert insight here is about the word rest. Paul says, "So that the power of Christ may rest upon me." The Greek word there means to tabernacle or pitch a tent.
Oh, wow.
When we are weak and we admit it, we become a landing strip for God's power. Our weakness is the doorway. If we are strong, we don't need him. If we are weak, he tabernacles over us.
That is profound. Your weakness is a hosting place for God's glory.
It reframes suffering completely.
Now, there is a fear, and I have heard this, that if you preach grace too much, people will go wild. Oh, I'm forgiven. Great. Let's go sin.
The license to sin objection, it has been around since Paul's day.
But the source material points us to Titus 2. It says grace is actually a teacher.
For the grace of God teaches us to say no to ungodliness. Think about motivation. Fear versus love.
Okay.
Illustration time. The 2 husbands. Imagine a woman. Her first husband is a tyrant. He gives her a list of 50 rules. Breakfast at 7 sharp, shirt ironed this way, floor swept that way. She follows the rules perfectly. Why?
Fear. She is terrified of him.
Exactly. Then he dies. Grace point there. She remarries. The new husband is kind, loving, generous. He never gives her a list. He just loves her. One day, she finds the old list. And she realizes she is still doing everything on it. She's making breakfast, ironing the shirt. Why is she doing it now?
Because she loves him. She wants to please him.
That is grace. Grace changes our want to. We don't avoid sin because we are afraid of a lightning bolt. We avoid sin because we love the Father who rescued us. We don't want to break his heart.
It is the clean home analogy, too.
Right. If you go to a train station, there are signs saying do not spit. And people spit anyway. The law is there, but the place is dirty. But if you walk into a beautiful, pristine mansion with white carpets, there are no signs. But you don't spit.
You wouldn't dare.
Because you love the home. You respect the beauty. Grace brings us into a beautiful home. We live holy lives because we want to match the environment of grace we live in.
That brings us to our final theological point, relational access.
Mhm.
Hebrews chapter 4, verse 16.
Let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence.
In the Old Testament, approaching the throne was scary.
It was deadly. The high priest went in once a year with blood, trembling. If he messed up, he died. But now, because of Jesus, the veil is torn. We don't come to a throne of judgment. We come to a throne of grace.
And we come with boldness.
Not arrogance, boldness. Like a
Mhm.
child running into their dad's office.
We have the trapeze and the net illustration here.
Yes. Being the Christian life is like being on a trapeze. We are high up, swinging, trying to do these good works. It is scary. But grace is the safety net.
It catches us.
If you know the net is there, you can fly, you can try, you can be bold. If you fall, you don't die, you bounce, you get back up. Grace allows us to take risks for the kingdom because failure isn't fatal.
Man, failure isn't fatal. I need to tattoo that somewhere.
It is the absolute truth.
Well, let's wrap this up. We have covered a lot of ground today, from the birthday gift to the courtroom, from the prodigal son to the trapeze net.
We really have.
If you are listening today, I hope you realize that grace is the air we breathe from the moment of salvation through every day of the Christian walk. It is not just the start of the race, it is the oxygen for every single step of the marathon.
Absolutely. And I want to take a moment just to thank you for listening. If you are struggling today, if you feel weak, if you feel unworthy, you are exactly where you need to be for grace to work.
Walk with Christ. Rely on His power. Stop pedaling so hard that you pass out and engage the motor.
And a word of warning as we close, stick to the pure word of God. There are always going to be traditions of men that try to sneak back in. They will tell you, yes, grace is nice, but you also need to do X, Y, and Z to really be saved.
Reject that.
Reject it completely. Go back to the gift. It is finished. Don't add to the cross.
I want to leave you with one final provocative thought from our expert here. It is about that common grace we mentioned earlier.
Yes, we talked about common grace, God's kindness that keeps the world running, the sun, the rain, the seasons. Imagine for a second if God withdrew that common grace, just for 1 second. The world would dissolve. Chaos would reign. Life would cease.
That is terrifying.
But He doesn't. So tomorrow morning when you see the sunrise or when you take that first sip of coffee, don't just take it for granted. Look at it. That coffee is a direct gift from a God who is good to all. It is a taste of grace in a cup. Let it remind you of the greater grace that saves your soul.
A taste of grace in a cup. I love that. Thank you so much for diving deep with us today. We will see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone.